Whoa. 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 What? Oh. So, this week in CSGO, we've got a lot of major changes and updates. Of course, the most obvious being the addition of Danger Zone, Valve's hot new take on the classic Battle Royale format.
Danger Zone!
Besides that, we also got some obligatory new cases, skins, and some actually interesting utility changes that I'll get into more later. But probably the most important and controversial change is that CSGO is now free to play. Now, I don't really want to start off this video with a negative connotation, so let's just ease into things and talk a little bit about the pros and cons of Danger Zone Black Site. Danger Zone pros. It's free content. Jokes aside, if you've been playing CSGO for more than a year, you probably already understand that CSGO players are generally always stuck with the perpetual starvation for content. So much so that the normal expectation for even holiday updates is a combination of minor map changes, maybe new skins, and of course, the all-important festive chicken update. To that, considering that the last actual operation was released more than a year ago, it's refreshing to see Valve push out any form of substantial new content, especially for free. Danger Zone cons. It's just a glorified casual game mode. Now, having put several hours grinding away at Black Site, I have to say that the game mode is fun at first, but ultimately not much more than a casual distraction. By that I mean, nobody is going to quit playing Fortnite, COD Blops Burr, or even PUBG to exclusively play Danger Zone. But of course, that's not really a fair comparison considering Danger Zone is essentially a custom game mode, while the aforementioned BR games are designed solely for that genre. Honestly, Danger Zone is kinda like every other casual game mode that Valve has made official. Fun for a bit, but after a couple games you find yourself looking for something better to do. Look, that's not to say that the game mode isn't a welcome addition to the CSGO family. In fact, quite the contrary. Danger Zone has introduced a lot of new mechanics and ideas that I actually love. For one, the outstanding number of new assets, weapons, and utility will give map creators a lot of new fun toys to play with, which ultimately means more and better content for everyone involved. Personally, I love the goofy new melee weapons, especially the fists, and the decoy grenade changes are actually really good, as I would even consider putting them in matchmaking if balanced properly. Besides that, the tablet and Amazon Prime drones offer a unique spin to the usual care package mechanics, and do well to differentiate CSGO's BR from many others. That, and contrary to popular opinion, I actually like the limited amount of ammunition they give you throughout each match. It definitely still needs some tweaking, but I respect the fact that it actually brings shotguns to the forefront of the BR meta. Yet, it's understandable why most people do not like Black Site's scarcity of ammunition. I think one of the biggest problems with making ammunition so scarce is that it kind of undermines Valve's main objective with the BR update, which was to appeal to casuals. In my opinion, I think it's fair to say that most casuals want more pew 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 and less hold E for 10 seconds to get 1/8 of a Bison clip. Now, while the ammunition boxes can, and I assume will be changed to better balance based off of different weapons, the problem is not as simple as just, lol, add more ammo to the game. One of the fundamental issues with adding more ammo is that the time to kill in Black Site is just way too fast for there to be an excess of ammunition. I mean, as it is, Black Site games only last about 10 to 15 minutes, and adding more ammunition would only make things faster. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but waiting 2 minutes to play a 5-minute max would kind of be obnoxious. On top of that, the lack of ammunition really just discourages getting into firefights in general. It's strange because the lack of overall ammunition is supposed to encourage aiming over spraying. But in my experience, 80% of all gunfights that I've had in Black Site basically boil down to who can mag dump faster in CQC. Although some of this is due to the limited map size and plethora of random bullshit to hide behind, I find that even in medium-ranged gunfights, you're generally not going to gain any net positive ammunition from eliminating another player. Hell, even if you insta-gib someone, the chances that their weapon uses the same ammunition as yours is still pretty low. Because of this, there is currently very little incentive to actually go out and hunt other players, as both parties usually end up dumping ammo for minimal utility gain. Sure, you're usually guaranteed money, armor, and maybe an extra health stim after each kill, but with the TTK as high as it is, it's generally not worth the ammo. So currently the black site meta is basically spawn somewhere secluded, loot as much as you can, and camp like an asshole. That being said, it's not really fair to blame the devs on behalf of these core mechanics, as a lot of these limitations come inherently from CSGO itself. For example, the limited ammunition problem could potentially be solved with the ability to hold multiple primary weapons, and the TTK could be increased by adding additional health and armor. But eventually, with all these major changes, I would argue that the game wouldn't really still feel like Counter-Strike. Honestly, there is a lot to talk about Blackside and how to fix it. In fact, I haven't even mentioned all the supplementary stuff they added, like turrets, hostages, and bank vaults. But with Blackside being as early in development as it is, it's most likely subject to many changes and fixes, so maybe we'll check back sometime next year. But now, on to the actual important topics. So, let's talk about how CSGO is going free to play and what that means for you.
It's the end of the world!
Koven
Loves you! He's gonna kill you!
So, hidden within CSGO's Steam support forums is a little further explanation on what exactly is going free to play and what that means for Prime. Essentially, CSGO as a whole is now free to play, ranked matchmaking included. On top of that, everybody who has previously purchased the game is now automatically upgraded to Prime. Yes, even those who did not opt in, or do not have a phone number tied to their account. To the casual player, that may sound like a good thing, but in reality, this means that every Smurf and alt account in CSGO is now eligible to play in Prime matchmaking. Why is this important? Well, besides increasing the number of Smurfs that absolutely destroy the lower ranks in MM, it also increases the number of cheaters infesting the game as a whole, as all of their rotational alts have now become Prime verified. For those of you who haven't had the unfortunate experience of playing against the same cheater throughout multiple accounts, in summary, they basically just buy a bunch of CSGO accounts during various Steam sales, and rotate through accounts when one gets banned or generates too much suspicion. So you can see why this might be a problem, especially in a game notorious for being plagued by delusional cheaters. Seriously, remember that 3 clicks video where that script kiddie asshat convinced himself that he was actually helping Valve by continuing to cheat and ruin other people's games?
In a way, cheaters help Valve. This is because they are continually testing and exploiting the game in a far less damaging and more public way than if it was left to other, more dangerous communities to do.
Yeah, the mental gymnastics is astounding. Suffice to say that them losing one account isn't much of a deterrent, since they usually just buy another one. I mean, at least before the update, it took weeks of grinding to reach level 21 to qualify for Prime. But now, you can just literally buy it. Look, circle jerking aside, I understand why Valve has chosen to go free to play. Besides boosting CSGO's average player count astronomically, the free-to-play model has always served other Valve titles quite well, as Dota 2 and even TF2 have continued to generate stable positive cash flow throughout the years. However, the difference is that Valve devs seem to have a much better understanding of those games than they do of competitive Counter-Strike. There's a reason why CSGO updates have become kind of a meme. It sucks because, unfortunately, this type of negativity towards CSGO developers have historically made CSGO updates a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. I've explained this before in previous videos, but in short, Valve allows a sort of free direction for their development teams, wherein some devs get to choose which types of games and projects they want to work on. So, in essence, some TF2 devs are also part-time CSGO devs if and when they so choose, which kind of explains some of the more wacky attempts in years past. But because of this, and the lack of a CSGO IceFrog equivalent, I think very few developers want to risk working on CSGO because of its history of consumer backlash. How about a tether gun that you could shoot and sticks people together? What are you, high? How could you possibly think that's a good idea? Do you even play the game that you're developing? Are you flippin' daft? You kid? You child? Well, you tot? What kind of back to TF2. At this point though, it should be pretty obvious just what the community wants. 128-tick servers, and 5v5 unranked matchmaking. However, this will probably never happen, mainly because of the simple fact that doing either of these things would cost more money than it would actually make. Like it or not, the casual audience probably generates more revenue for Valve than anything it does to cater to its competitive esports scene, so it makes sense why they would focus on the former rather than the latter. That being said, investing heavily in anti-cheat should still be a priority for Valve as it benefits both parties irregardless, so hopefully they continue allocating resources to fight the good fight. I mean, they must have some major confidence and trust factor if they just flat out merged it with Prime and gave everybody free access to ranked matchmaking. Who knows? As of now, CSGO's popularity is currently booming, and most of the recent updates have all been pretty solid so far, or at least much better than years past. Honestly, at the end of the day, what the fuck do I know? I'm sure I'm missing a lot of details and information, as everything I've said could technically be considered conjecture. Who knows? Maybe free-to-play is a blessing in disguise, and trust factor has evolved to a point of supreme competence. I mean, technically, I haven't seen a blatant cheater for at least a solid month or so. Well, mainly because I haven't really been playing CSGO. You know, because of the cheaters.